Most men think attraction is about saying the right thing. It's not. It's actually about all the things you stop doing. Here's something most relationship coaches won't tell you straight. Attraction doesn't build slowly over time the way we think it does. It breaks. Fast. In small, quiet moments that most men completely miss. You could be doing everything right, good conversation, decent looks, showing genuine interest, and still watch her slowly pull back. And you won't even know why. That's what this video is about. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific behaviors that kill attraction almost instantly. Not because women are complicated or hard to please, but because there are certain psychological triggers that flip a switch in her mind. And once that switch flips, it's really hard to flip it back. Some of these you're probably already doing, not because you're doing something wrong as a person, but because nobody ever pointed it out clearly. We're going to fix that today. And I'll save the most important one for near the end, because honestly, it's the one that surprises people the most. It's the most invisible one. The one that feels completely harmless in the moment, but quietly does the most damage. Stay with me on this. Slow zoom on a man's face. Confident, calm, present. Then cut to contrast. Another man, fidgeting, slightly too eager. Before we get into the list, I want you to understand something about how attraction actually works in a woman's mind. Because if you don't get this part, the rest won't fully land. Attraction, for women, is not a decision. It's not something she sits down and consciously chooses. It's a feeling. And feelings don't respond to logic. They respond to signals. Small ones. Constant ones. Every interaction you have with a woman is sending her signals, whether you intend to or not. The way you hold yourself, the way you respond when she says something unexpected, whether you laugh too quickly, whether you hesitate before speaking, whether you seem like a man who has options, or a man who's hoping she becomes one. Here's the thing most men get backwards. They think attraction is something you build by adding more charm, more compliments, more effort, more texting, more planning, more proving yourself. But women don't experience attraction through accumulation. They experience it through contrast. She's not asking herself, what has he done for me? She's asking, usually without even realizing it, how does he make me feel when I'm around him? And that feeling? It's created in the gaps, in the pauses, in what you don't do as much as what you do. Think about the men in your own life who just seem to have a natural ease with women. Not necessarily the best-looking guys, not the richest, just calm, grounded, comfortable in their own skin. What are they doing differently? Usually it's not some secret technique. It's the absence of certain behaviors. They're not doing the things that quietly signal insecurity, neediness, or low value. And because of that absence, attraction has space to grow. That's the psychology behind everything we're about to cover. These 7 behaviors don't just annoy women. They don't just make you seem less cool. They send very specific subconscious signals that her nervous system reads instantly and responds to by pulling back. And here's what makes this uncomfortable to hear for most men. A lot of these behaviors come from a good place, from genuine interest, from caring too much, from wanting to get it right. That's actually what makes them so easy to miss. You're not doing them because you're weak. You're doing them because you were never shown the difference between genuine warmth and the kind of effort that quietly communicates desperation. There's a line between the two, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. She makes a casual comment. Maybe she raises an eyebrow at something you said. Maybe she asks a simple question about your job, your past, your life choices. And without even thinking, you launch into a full explanation. Why you made that decision, why it makes sense, why she shouldn't judge it the way it sounds. Why, actually, when you think about it properly, and she's sitting there, nodding. But something in her has already shifted. Here's the psychology behind this one. When a man over-explains himself, especially unprompted, What he's really communicating is that he needs her approval. He's not comfortable letting her form her own opinion. He's anxious about how he's being perceived. And that anxiety, that low-level desperation to be understood and accepted, she feels it immediately. It doesn't matter how smooth the words are. The energy underneath them tells the real story. Most men do this because they think clarity equals connection. If I just explain myself well enough, she'll get it. She'll understand. She'll like me more. But attraction doesn't work that way. A man who is genuinely comfortable with who he is doesn't rush to defend himself. He lets things land. He's okay with being slightly misunderstood because he's not building his confidence on her reaction. Same restaurant, different man. She raises an eyebrow at something he says. He just smiles slightly, doesn't flinch, lets the silence sit. What to do instead? When you feel that urge to over-explain, just slow down. Answer simply. Let there be a little space after. You don't owe anyone a full case for why you are the way you are. Confidence isn't loud. Sometimes it's just stillness. Attraction killer number 2. Agreeing with everything she says. This one's subtle, and it comes from a genuinely good place, wanting to be easygoing, low drama, likable. But here's where most men get it wrong. There's a difference between being agreeable and having no friction whatsoever. And women, whether consciously or not, test for friction, not because they want conflict, but because a man who agrees with absolutely everything she says starts to feel invisible, formless, like a mirror with good manners. Coffee shop. She says something mildly controversial. Just an opinion, nothing major. He immediately nods. Yeah, totally. I think so too. She smiles politely, but something behind her eyes goes a little flat. What's happening in her mind in that moment isn't, oh great, we agree. It's more like, does this man have an actual inner world? Or is he just reflecting back whatever I put out? And here's the thing. She's not even fully aware she's thinking this. It's subconscious. But the effect is real. When a man has his own perspective, when he can calmly disagree or offer a different angle without being defensive or trying to win an argument, it creates something. A small spark of unpredictability. And unpredictability is interesting. Interesting keeps attention. Attention is where attraction lives. What to do instead? You don't need to disagree for the sake of it. That's just annoying. But when you genuinely see something differently, say so. Calmly, without apology. I actually see it a bit differently. And then explain why, simply. No aggression, no need to convince her. Just your honest take, held lightly. That's it. That small thing. It changes the entire dynamic. You know that moment in a conversation where it goes quiet for a second or two? Most men panic in that silence, and they fill it, immediately, with anything. A question, a joke, a random observation, a story that wasn't really ready to be told yet. Because silence feels like failure. Like the conversation is dying. Like she's losing interest and you need to rescue it. But here's what's actually happening in that silence, if you let it be. Silence between two people who are genuinely comfortable with each other is not empty. It's full. It has weight. It means neither person feels the need to perform. And that feeling of being with someone who isn't constantly trying is incredibly rare. And rare things are attractive. When you rush to fill every quiet moment, you're signaling something. You're saying, I'm not comfortable unless this is going well every single second. And that low-level anxiety is contagious. She starts to feel it too. And now, the conversation has a nervous energy underneath it. What to do instead? Practice sitting in silence for just a beat longer than feels comfortable. Not awkwardly long. Just one breath more than your instinct tells you. Look at her calmly. Let the moment exist. You'll be surprised how often she's the one who fills it, and how differently the whole conversation feels when you stop carrying it alone. And this is where things start to change. Because the first three killers are all versions of the same root problem, a subtle, quiet anxiety about how you're being perceived. The next ones go deeper. This one is uncomfortable to talk about, because most men who do this have no idea they're doing it. It doesn't look dramatic. It's not a big fight or an obvious emotional breakdown. It's quieter than that. It's the slight withdrawal when she doesn't text back fast enough, the subtle shift in your energy when she's busy and can't give you attention, the way the whole tone of an evening changes because she seemed a little distracted, and now you're quieter, slightly colder, waiting for her to notice and fix it. She notices. She always notices. And what she feels in that moment isn't guilt, not really. It's something closer to weight, like she's suddenly responsible for managing another person's emotional state. And that feeling, that quiet pressure, is one of the fastest ways to make a woman emotionally check out. Here's the psychology. Women are naturally attuned to emotional atmosphere. They pick up on shifts in mood the way some people feel a change in weather before it happens. So when your emotional state is visibly tied to her behavior, when she can feel that she controls whether you're okay or not, it flips something in her. It stops feeling like a connection. It starts feeling like a responsibility. And nobody feels attracted to a responsibility. What to do instead? This isn't about pretending you don't have feelings. It's about having a life, an inner world, a sense of okayness that doesn't depend entirely on her response to you in any given moment. When you're genuinely rooted in yourself, when her mood doesn't become your emergency, she feels safe around you. And safety, real emotional safety, is one of the most underrated foundations of deep attraction. Look, compliments are not the problem. Genuine appreciation, expressed at the right moment, is actually powerful. The problem is the pattern. You meet someone. She's beautiful. She's interesting. And you want her to know that you see it. So you tell her. Often. Enthusiastically, multiple times across the first few conversations. And slowly, almost invisibly, the dynamic shifts. Here's what's happening underneath the surface. When compliments come too frequently, too easily, they stop being signals of genuine perception and start feeling like a strategy. She can't always articulate it, but something in her registers. This man is trying to make me feel good, so I'll like him. And the moment attraction feels like it's being engineered, it evaporates. There's also something else going on. Constant complimenting quietly communicates that you see her as slightly out of your reach, like you're looking up at her. And people, women included, are rarely attracted to someone who seems to be looking up at them from below. What happens next is what most men never notice. The dynamic that creates real, lasting attraction is one where she's slightly uncertain about exactly where she stands with you. Not confused, not anxious, just engaged, curious, a little bit in the chase herself. When you overcompliment, you hand all of that away immediately. There's no tension left, and without tension, there's no pull. What to do instead? Let your appreciation be rare and specific. Not, "you look amazing" for the fourth time, but one quiet, unhurried moment where you notice something real about her, something she didn't expect you to see, and you say it once, simply, and move on. That lands completely differently. She'll remember it for days. This one seems obvious, but the way men actually do it is more subtle than you'd think. It's not usually bragging. It's more like an ex comes up casually in conversation, or you mention some woman at work a few too many times, or you make an offhand comment about someone's appearance while you're with her. Small things. Throwaway moments. Here's the psychology. When a woman is building attraction for someone, she's also, subconsciously, building a picture of where she fits in his world, how he sees women, how he talks about them when it doesn't matter, whether she's likely to be spoken about the same way someday. It's not jealousy exactly. It's more like data collection. And careless comments about other women give her data she didn't ask for. Data that makes her quietly recalibrate. What to do instead? It's simple, actually. Keep other women mostly out of the conversation, especially early on. Not because you're hiding anything, but because when you're with her, she is the most interesting thing in the room. That focus, that genuine, unhurried attention, is rarer than most men realize, and she will feel it. And here it is, the last one, the one I said we'd save. This is the most invisible one, the most damaging one, and the one that comes almost always from genuine feeling. You start adjusting. Your schedule bends around hers. Your opinions soften wherever they might create friction. The things you used to care about, your hobbies, your friendships, your own quiet routines, start taking up less space, because making this work feels more important right now. And for a while, it seems fine. She seems happy. Things seem easy. But here's where most men get it wrong. What she was originally attracted to, the version of you that had edges, had direction, had a life she was entering rather than a life that was reorganizing itself around her. That version is slowly disappearing, and she feels it, even if she can't name it. Attraction, at its core, is not drawn to sacrifice. It's drawn to substance, to a man who knows who he is and stays that way. Not rigidly, not selfishly, but steadily. A man who loves his own life, who has things he won't compromise on, who makes space for her without disappearing into her. That man is interesting. That man has gravity. And gravity is the one thing you cannot fake. Most men spend years trying to become what they think women want. The ones who actually have deep, lasting attraction in their lives figured out something different. They just became more fully themselves. And that was enough. More than enough. So let's bring this back together for a second. 7 behaviors. And if you look at all of them honestly, over-explaining yourself, agreeing with everything, filling every silence, tying your mood to her reactions, complimenting too much too soon, careless comments, losing yourself slowly. They all point to the same thing underneath, a man who isn't fully at home in himself yet. And I want to be careful here, because that's not an insult. That's just where most of us are at some point. Nobody teaches men this stuff directly. We figure it out through confusion and missed connections and relationships that quietly fell apart without us ever understanding why. But here's the reframe I want to leave you with. Attraction isn't really about techniques. It's not about saying the perfect thing, or timing your text correctly, or learning some formula that makes women respond differently. It's about presence. Real, grounded, unhurried presence. The kind that says, without words, I know who I am. I'm interested in you, but I'm not desperate for your approval. I have a life I'm already living, and I'm inviting you into it. That energy, that specific energy, women feel it from across a room. They feel it in the first 30 seconds of a conversation. They feel it in the way you don't flinch when there's silence, in the way you don't crumble when they're distracted, in the way you stay yourself even when you really, really like someone. That's not charisma. That's not charm in the traditional sense. That's just a man who has done the quiet work of knowing himself. And here's what changes when you really absorb this. Not just intellectually, but actually let it shift something in how you move through the world. You stop experiencing dating as something you're trying to win. You stop treating every interaction like an audition. You stop monitoring her face for signs that you're doing okay. And weirdly, That's exactly when things start going better. Not because you became more attractive in some surface-level way, but because you stopped leaking the anxiety that was quietly pushing people away. Women aren't looking for a perfect man. They're looking for a real one who is genuinely at ease, one who doesn't need constant reassurance, one who can sit in uncertainty without unraveling, one who is, in the simplest possible terms, okay. Okay with himself, okay with the outcome, okay with being exactly who he is, whether she responds to it or not. That okayness, that quiet, unshakable okayness, it's rarer than you think, and it's more attractive than almost anything else. Most men will watch this video. They'll nod along. They'll think, yeah, that makes sense, that resonates, and then they'll go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. Because understanding something and actually living it are two completely different things. And the gap between those two, that's where most men stay stuck. For years, sometimes forever. But a few will sit with this differently. A few will actually look at their own patterns honestly, without ego, without defensiveness, and they'll quietly start making different choices. Not dramatic changes, just small, consistent ones. The kind that compound over time into something that actually looks and feels different. If you're one of those few, this video was for you. If something in here landed for you, if even one of these made you think about something differently, subscribe. Because this is what we do here. No performance, no hype, just honest, grounded conversations about the psychology of attraction, confidence, and becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase. New videos every week. The next one goes even deeper, and you won't want to miss it.